My mom has always favored my younger sister over me. Despite this, I did my best to support her because I felt indebted to her for raising me. However, as soon as it was decided that my sister would be returning, my mom instantly cut me off. She shouted, "Get out, you parasite. If that's what you want, I won't put up with you anymore. If you want to do this, I'm going to make up for all the grudges I've had against you." My name is Samantha, and I'm 26 years old. After graduating from college, I worked for a decent company and lived with my mom. My dad passed away a few years ago, and my sister is already married with a family. Originally, I was going to live alone, but my sister's marriage was decided to decipher mine. I couldn't leave my mom alone, so I still live here with her. Thinking back, my mom always adored my younger sister. My younger sister, Jessica, is the complete opposite of me. She's cute and stylish, but the only drawback I have with her is her crooked personality. The amazing thing about her is that even her bad personality is covered up by her looks. She's this good-looking girl on the outside, so it's like she's living her life dexterously. My sister is the complete opposite of me, whose only mirror is her earnestness, but she seems to be quite lovely to my mom. After my sister got married and left home, my mom often complained about me. She said, "No, I wish I could live with Jessica instead of you. Why is Jessica so pretty, but you have nothing to offer? Oh my God, I want to see Jessica. I'm tired of seeing your face." Even now, I'm working to support this family, but why does she have to be so mean to me? "Hey Mom, I know you think Jessica is cute, but you don't have to say that much." I interrupted her in disgust. My mom got pissed off. "What if you were as good as Jessica? I wouldn't have to go through this every day." "What do you mean I don't have to go through this? You don't have any problems in your life, do you? We've been living in this house since Dad passed away," I said, putting up with her tone. "You're not thinking? You're doing me a favor by saying I did this for you, are you?" "I didn't mean it that way, okay? I have no choice but to live with you. If Jessica hadn't got married, I would be living with her, not you," she retorted. Okay, that's enough," I said. We now live in a house that was rebuilt a few years before my dad died. It's not in my mom's name, but I'm the one making the remaining loan payments. However, my mom always compares me to my sister and insults only me. I was at the end of my rope, living with my mom, who said hateful things to me every time she saw my face. Yet there's a reason why I didn't give up on my mom. When my dad died, she cried for days, didn't eat well, and was so exhausted, the people around her were worried about her. I have to support my mom from now on. I must protect my mom for my dad's sake, I thought. As the eldest daughter, I've always had a strong sense of responsibility. Nowadays, I often get angry at my mom's words and actions, but after my dad passed away, my mom was the only parent I had. I couldn't hate her from the bottom of my heart. Then one day, suddenly, my sister came to our house with her husband. As soon as she saw my mom, she said something outrageous. "Mom's having a hard time making ends meet," my sister said in tears, and my mom looked worried. "Life is tough." "What the hell is going on? That's horrible," I exclaimed. "I can only rely on you more. If it's okay with you, I want to live with you, Jessica," my sister said. This isn't good, I realized instantly, but it was already too late. Before I could interject, my mom had already said yes. Yes, my lovely Jessica is in trouble. I have to help," my mom exclaimed. "Mom, of course. Besides, I've always wanted to live with you," my sister said. "Wow, thank you. I love you, Mom." My mom was overjoyed. "Do you hear my sister saying I love you?" They agreed on their own without considering my opinion. I wasn't satisfied with this, so I went to my mom and said, "Hey, wait a minute, Mom. I live in this house too." My mom replied, "So, I have 2 people moving in here all of a sudden. I have my room. I don't care what you think. The house is in my name, right? That's true." I tried to talk back, but my mom sighed and said, "If you have such a problem with it, you should get out of the house." I froze at my mom's remark. "What are you talking about? Didn't you hear me? I told you to leave in the first place. You're nothing more than a replacement for Jessica for me. You know that's horrible. You don't have to talk to me like that. I don't want a parasite like you. If Jessica comes back, I don't need you," my mom told me so clearly, and I was blinded by the darkness. I knew my mom adored my sister. I've been taking care of my mom all my life, yet she cut me off so easily. My sister, who left my mom after marriage without thinking, was loved so much. And I, who have supported my mom for so many years, was treated unreasonably. I didn't understand every single thing my mom said and did. I was so frustrated and miserable that I almost burst into tears. My sister, seeing me like this, opened her mouth with a sneer. She said, "Mom also said this is... Why don't you get the hell out of here?" I said, "If you don't leave, there won't be room in the house, right? We don't need you." "What do you mean you don't need me? I'm the one who has been supporting Mom until now." "So what? She wants to live with me, right? We don't need you anymore. You're trash." With that out of the way, Jessica called my mom and her husband, and together they began to plan a schedule for the move. Even though I was hurting right beside her. "I am so happy. Let's have real meat on the day we move in. Wow, you're so nice. I'll get the ingredients." Everyone was so excited that my presence was like nothing to them. As I stood there in shock, I heard my sister cursing at me again. "Hey, what are you doing just standing there like that? I told you to get out of here. You can't just say that we don't need you, parasite. Hit the hell out of here and give us some room. Move out by the end of the week. That should be fine, right?" I struggled to keep my voice down and finally complied. Meanwhile, my mom was planning a short trip with my sister. "You'd better move out by the time we get back from our trip, okay?" With those final words, my mom left with my sister and her husband. To my mom, I was just a distraction, so as long as Jessica was there, I didn't matter. "If you're willing to do that, I won't put up with it anymore. If it comes to this, I'm going to put you through hell." No longer feeling sympathy for my mom, I was determined to take revenge. From that point on, it was quick. I immediately contacted a moving company and quickly moved in while my mom and my sister were away. The movers asked me curiously, "All this stuff, do you need help? Please make sure everything is clean." I returned to them with a big smile. I was moving to the company housing. I heard that the company housing was still available, and the company invited me to move in several times, but I refused because my mom was there. This time I found out there were still vacancies and decided to start the move and procedures immediately. I never expected to start my company housing life in this way, but when I finally moved in, I immediately liked it. The room was even nicer than I had imagined. Hey, did you love and enjoy the story? Take a moment to like and subscribe for more. I was getting used to my new life in company housing when I checked my phone. I found that I had received an incoming call from my mom and sister. The voicemail message said, "Show up at my house, and now." I'd expected this, but the number of incoming calls was far more than I had imagined. I knew that if I ignored the messages, they might show up at work. So I went by my mom's house on my way home from work. When I opened the door, I found my mom and sister waiting for me with a fierce look on their faces. They said, "Hey, what the hell is going on? There's nothing in the house. He's my favorite refrigerator and toaster. Take them." I responded calmly, amazed at their ranting and raving. "Where to? My new house?" "What do you mean don't take it without permission? Yeah, give it back now. Give it back. Why? What are you?" The furniture and appliances belonged to Mom, didn't they? My sister's comments made me burst out laughing. "What's so funny?" "I'm so sorry. I just thought you were misunderstanding," my sister said, raising her voice. I decided to explain the facts to her. "I don't know what you know, but I bought all the furniture and appliances here. I'm moving out. I'm supposed to take my stuff with me, right?" "Oh, what do you mean?" I said. "All the furniture and appliances that were left in this house, I bought them with my own money. Do you understand?" "But that doesn't mean you should take it all with you. It was here from the beginning," my sister said, huffing and puffing, staring at me with a devilish look on her face. "And the money in the bank was zero. I couldn't use Mom's credit card when we were on vacation, so I had no choice but to borrow money from a cash advance to pay for the trip." "Oh? So you took all the money in the bank, didn't you?" I asked. "Of course, because it was my money. What's wrong with taking it all?" When I lightly provoked her, my sister turned to me and shouted, "Don't play with me." She was getting closer and closer to me, her face turning red as she yelled back. "The money that big book should have contained Dad's insurance money," I exclaimed. What? What are you talking about? It's not in there?" "No way. When I came to this house before, there was a lot of money in there." "That was just me supplementing my income with a portion every month. It's just that it's been accumulating." "Then what about Dad's insurance money? It's gone a long time ago." "Your favorite mom spent it all," I said. As I said that, my sister turned her head back to my mom. My mom quickly turned her head away and made a face like, "Oh my God." "Wait a minute, Mom, is it true?" my sister asked fearfully, but my mom only mumbled, My sister, who had grown numb to the situation, yelled at my mom, "What the hell is going on? I came home because I thought Dad's insurance money was in this house." Trying to calm Jessica, who had lost her temper, my mom muttered, "Calm down." "How could I calm down? It's your fault for spending Dad's money, isn't it? What are you going to do about it?" Jessica exclaimed. I was just happy that you and I could live together again. You came back because you wanted to live with me too, right? I interjected. Huh? You've got to be kidding me. I only came back to pay off my debt. As I found out from the conversation between my mom and sister, my sister and her husband became addicted to gambling. They ended up with a large amount of debt. Attempting to repay the debt, they took to gambling again, but the debt continued to mount. Her husband wasn't able to go to work and was fired from his job in the name of restructuring. My sister and her husband, who were neck-deep in huge debts, had come back to this house for our dad's insurance money. My mom, unaware that she was being taken advantage of by my sister, got me out of that house on the spur of the moment. This is the result. Now you understand, don't you? There's no more insurance money for our dad in this house. All that is left is the mortgage. I'm going to leave now, and you guys will pay the rest of the mortgage, okay? I announced. Then, unexpectedly, my sister came running up to me with tears in her eyes. "Wait a minute, sis. My husband and I both have debts. There's no way we can pay the loan." "That is none of my business. Let's live with your mom, didn't you?" I replied. "No, I didn't know this was happening. Mom always said she wanted to live with you too, so I'm so happy for you." "Oh, no. Wait, don't go, Samantha. Right, Samantha? Please stay here," my mom and sister pleaded with me. But I had no reason to listen to them anymore. It has been almost a month since then. My mom and sister, who are impatient, began to work part-time day jobs. Even so, there is no way they would have enough money. In the end, they had to sell the family home and move to a cheap apartment where they fought every day. "Mom, it's because you said you're going to kick her out. I could have used her if you had let her stay there," Jessica said. "What? I did it to make room for you guys. What, you can't live without our money, can you?" My mom retorted. "Oh, you too? You said sweetly that you wanted to live with me, but in the end, you're only after the money." "So what? You're worthless other than money," Jessica shot back. "Watch your mouth. Get out of here," my mom shouted. "You get out of here now," Jessica yelled back. They could barely get enough to eat for the day. They couldn't even afford to buy one clothing item. The three of them should get along and cooperate. They are helpless people. As for me, on the other hand, I'm spending a fulfilling life at the company housing where I moved to. My commute to work is shorter than before, so I have more time to myself. I was shocked when I was kicked out of my own house, but now I'd rather say thank you for kicking me out. From now on, I want to spend my days happily thinking only of my happiness. Did you enjoy the story? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe for more content like this.
All right, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my second year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children, with zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job, having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, "Get his boss here immediately." It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. "What is that idiot doing?" "All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next." Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. "If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you." I immediately followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was, as the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. "Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize." Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. "What kind of training are you giving your subordinates?" Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed, I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? "I'm very sorry." Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, "I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong." "Mike, what have you done?" Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You're still saying that? Look at him." Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. "I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract?" Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. "Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go." Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. "Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him." There's no way he was pushed aside. "Don't make things worse here. He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he?" I don't remember that part." I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you've failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.